Hello everyone, and welcome to Managing Projects with Microsoft Project 2007. My name is Russell Trobo, and I will be your instructor. During this presentation, we're going to talk about Microsoft Project 2007 overview. We're going to look at getting started with versions, compatibility, understanding the menu bar and the toolbars that you can use with Microsoft Project 2007. We're also going to take a look at the project layout, project views, the project guide, and the structure and layout of the plan window. If you have any questions about any of the information covered in this presentation, please use the question and comment selection located on the gogo.com webpage. So let's get started with getting started. First thing you need to clearly identify is what version of Microsoft Project you're using. Easiest way to figure that out is if you go to your File menu bar, under the Help menu, and select Help, and scroll down and select About Microsoft Office Project. This will pop up and display what version of Microsoft Project 2000 or project you're using. Just be advised that there are several different versions. More specifically, you have Microsoft Office Project Standard 2007, which is pretty much a standalone non-web-based application. Next, you have Microsoft Office Project Professional 2007, which once again is a Windows-based application that also provides web access with collaboration and also linking to the project server. And of course, you have Microsoft Office Enterprise Project Management, or EPM, which provides a complete solution using Microsoft Office Project Server, Microsoft Office Project Web Access 2007, and Microsoft Office Project Portfolio Server 2007. You also need to understand some backwards compatibility and compatibility between the different versions. Project 2007 can open files created in previous versions of projects such as Project 98, 2000, 2002, or 2003. Be advised that some features may not map with the previous versions of Microsoft Project, and those will not be saved in the file or format. And anytime you do import or use an older version, whenever you save it, it'll save it in a new format. 2007 will also save to file formats including XML, Extensible Markup Language, a CSV, comma-separated values, text using tab eliminated, Excel workbook, or an Excel pivot table. You can also save 2007 project files to the web page and to previous or earlier versions of Microsoft Project. Just be advised that Microsoft Project 2007 no longer supports the OLEDB database. So let's take a look at our project menu bar, which is going to be running across the top. First thing we'll take a look at is the new File menu. When we open up the File menu, a new file will open up the new project. Of course, the key thing to remember here, when you do a save as, you can save as those previous extensions I mentioned and formats. So when you open up your save as, you can save it as a Microsoft project file, previous version from 2000 to 2003. You can save it as a template and use later on for future projects of a similar kind or nature. And the other thing you also want to save is your workspace. This will save it as a .mpw file. And once you go in and we talk about customizing, setting up the workspace, if you're going to be on the go or moving from computer to computer with different project files, that might be advisable to go ahead and save your workspace, and that way you can go ahead and open it and everything will be rearranged just as you left it on the other system. Moving on to the Edit menu options. Once again, if you select the Edit menu from the main menu bar, it will display your edit options. When we talk about editing, some of these menus are going to change based upon what view you're in Microsoft Project, which we're going to talk about in the next few slides. But just be advised that as you go through based on a task or a resource, some of the menu options will change. In your edit menu options, some of the key things to remember are to clear. If you want to clear some of the contents of the cells, you can clear all of them. You can clear the formats, the contents. If you have any notes that you want to go ahead and delete, and you can also edit or clear the hyperlinks or an entire task completely. The other key thing is when we're talking about tasks, we're looking at activities, scheduled activities, everything that's created in your activity list which will become part of your work breakdown structure. Microsoft Project refers to scheduled activities or activities as tasks. So just remember that when we're talking Microsoft Project and we're talking tasks, we're referring to those activities in our activity list and also the structure of our work breakdown structure. Looking at the rest of the edit menu, once again, find, replace, go to, some basic options to quickly find information, replace information, or to go to a specific location. Next, we're going to take a look at our view menu options. Once again, if you select the view menu from the menu bar, it'll display your view menu options. As I stated earlier, based on your view that you're in for your project pane or your project plan window, some of the options will change based on if you're looking at the calendar, the Gantt chart, which is set up by default, or whether you're looking at a network diagram. If you're doing task usage and tracking Gantt, and even the Gantt chart, we're looking at task. Once you go to your resource view or your resource graph, resource sheet, and resource usage, some of the information from the toolbars will be replaced with resource instead of task. For example, when we start looking at project information, you're going to have task information and resource information. And the only way you can display those is if you're in one of the resource view for resource information, or if you're in the task view for task information. The other key thing about your view menu is this is where you enable or turn on your project guide. By default, the project guide is turned off in Microsoft Office Project 2007, and to turn it on, simply go to your view menu, scroll down, and select the Turn On Project Guide. This will bring up your project guide window to where you can simply use it and turn it off with the project guide toolbar. Next thing is to bring up your view bar. If you want to bring up your view bar, which will be displayed on the left-hand side of your working environment, to where you can quickly go through the different views, you would select your view bar, which will provide the same options as selecting the view menu and going from calendar all the way down to more views. Next, we're going to take a look at our insert menu options. Once again, if you select your insert menu from your main menu bar, it'll display your insert options. This is a good example as I was talking about. These windows captured with the task plan view looking at the Gantt chart. If I was looking at a resource graph or a resource sheet or resource usage, it would bring up new resource task. You can bring in a new resource from either your Active Directory, an address book, or from Project Server. You can also do a reoccurring task, pretty much like setting it up with Microsoft Outlook. If you have a task that's reoccurring on a specific interval time frame, you can go and set it up to where it will be a reoccurring event and be displayed throughout your project lifecycle. You can insert a project from another into an existing project. You may want to have several projects for large complex projects, and you can insert them into a master project plan. The insert column also allows you to insert new columns within your project plan window or a page break. You can also insert drawings or objects from other Microsoft Office products or a JPEG or images. And the last thing you can do is insert a hyperlink to a specific area if you want to open up a report, a web page, or anything else that would use a hyperlink. Next, we're going to take a look at our format menu options. Once again, in your main menu bar, select the Format. It'll display your Format sub-window and provide you with the options that you can do. When we're talking about formatting the menu options, of course we can format the font. As you can see, I cannot format the bar, but however, if I had my resource graph up, then I could format bar or my tracking Gantt. You can format the different timescales you're going to use and how the grid lines are going to be displayed. You can also select the Gantt chart wizard, which we'll talk about later on in this lesson. And once again, we will have a whole section on formatting and go through the font, bar, timescales, grid lines, even formatting text styles and bar styles in our lesson talking about organizing project information. Just remember, the Gantt chart wizard is a great tool for setting up how you want the Gantt chart to be displayed in your project window. Moving on to the tool menu options, we're going to take a look at several different tools that we're going to be able to use. So to access, select Tools from the main menu bar, which will display your tool options. The key thing to remember about tools, of course we can do spelling, autocorrect options. Document management helps you track and manage documents, especially if you're using some sort of database or with Project Server. It helps you link different projects together. Once again, if you have several projects, you can either insert a project or you can link them. A key feature here too is importing Outlook tasks. If you have several tasks in your Outlook, you can actually import those tasks into your work breakdown structures and assign them different levels of work breakdown structure components. We're also going to be talking about changing the work time, setting up your work hours, your work periods, and this will bring up the project calendar to allow you to modify and edit the project calendar as well. The Customize toolbar allows you to customize different toolbars and fields and forms, and we will talk about that once again in organizing project information. We're also going to talk about assigning resources, resource sharing, and level resources, and resource management, as well as tracking. Your project menu will provide you several options based on the project view that you have selected. In order to view the project view, select Project from the main menu toolbar. And from the project window, some of the information may be grayed out and some of the information will change. As you can see here, we have task information and task notes. If I was in resources, it would be replaced with resource information and resource notes. The key thing to remember about project menu options are here is where we can sort and filter tasks and resources, as well as group them, and view our outline and our work breakdown structure components. And also, this is where you will actually be able to pull up your project information, which we'll talk about here in the next lesson. The key thing to remember when we're talking work breakdown structure, it's not your typical normal work breakdown structure. It's put up in a hierarchical format using what they call summary task, which will be main phases or components of your project life cycle. And once again, project information will bring up the windows that allow you to view and edit project information. The last menu bar we're going to talk about is Report Menu Options, because the Collaborate toolbar only will appear in Microsoft Project 2007 Professional. You will not have that option if you have Microsoft Project 2007 Standard. So once again, select Report from your menu bar to display your report options. You can click on Visual Reports to bring up a visual display of all the different types of visual reports you can produce, or you can actually click on the reports, which has it categorized in 6 main areas, which we're going to talk about in our project guide, setting up and track reporting performance. Of course, as I stated, the Collaborate menu options will only be displayed for Microsoft Professional 2007 and for Microsoft Office Enterprise Project Management. Of course, your window menu options will just bring up ways to arrange and view the windows. You can split windows, have several windows layered. You can hide certain windows. As you can see, there's only one window open, and that is Project 1 window. And of course, your Adobe PDF and Search Help box will allow you to bring in Adobe PDF so you can convert project information into PDF file formats. You also will have a Search for Help box that allows you to type in a question and select the search to find specific information concerning Microsoft Project 2007. So let's take a look at our toolbars. Once again, there are several toolbars. We're not going to discuss every one. More specifically, we're going to stick to the Microsoft Project Standard 2007. And we're really not going to get into too much of the Visual Basics, web access, of course Acrobat for PDF Maker, and that should be it. By default, when Microsoft Project opens, you'll have two toolbars automatically set up. Your standard toolbar, which covers your basic new, open, save, print, basic features that you would find in any other Microsoft Office product. The other default toolbar is your formatting toolbar, which once again will help you also. It brings up your project outline options, in other words, to indent or outdent, to expand or collapse, and to show specific information, as well as formatting, bolding, centering text, and you can apply this to specifically all tasks or certain tasks. It also has your project filters that we'll talk about in a later lesson as well. The key thing to remember here is you can go and modify these toolbars and actually have them appear on one line. And once again, simply clicking on the toolbar or view menu bar and viewing toolbars, you can also select these options. So let's take a look at some of the basic toolbars. Of course, Custom Form allows you to set up and modify custom forms such as entry, cost tracking, work tracking, and provides just a way to help customize and view the forms. Of course, your drawing toolbar will allow you to insert certain objects, shapes, lines, text box, even objects as well. Of course, your resource management toolbar would bring up all your resource management options. More specifically, your using resources, showing the task for certain resources, once again selecting a new resource from. Of course, your tracking toolbar will help you track project performance to update tasks and activities, as well as to look at what percentage of work is complete, what's incomplete, as far as activities and milestones. The other toolbars you may utilize is analysis by adjusting dates or even more so PERT analysis, which will bring up a PERT analysis toolbar as well, or copying pictures to the Office Wizard. This will be great for generating reports or project information. You can also compare project versions by selecting different projects and showing different data and columns in them as well. Network diagramming toolbar will bring up your network diagramming in order to add dependencies and relationships, as well as to analyze your critical path. And of course, your last one is your PERT analysis, basically calculation, what they usually call your 3-point estimate, how to input information and to calculate your optimistic plus 4 times your most likely plus your pessimistic, all divide by 6 as your PERT analysis or your PERT estimates. Of course, you can customize your toolbars by selecting the Customize option on the very bottom. And this will bring up the Customize option toolbar window. Here you can actually go through and create a new toolbar with common features. Once again, this is great to do, and it's really helpful when you save that workspace. You can use it on any system to where everything is set up and you have your own standard toolbar or your own special toolbar, to use with your common toolbar menu items or options. You can also go through and change different commands, adding different options and features to the toolbar as well. Next, let's take a look at our project layout and the project views, the project guide, and the plan window. So we're going to take a look at our Gantt chart, our network diagram, tracking usage, tracking Gantt, and of course the 3 different resource options, as well as looking at the more views and turning our view bar on. We're also going to talk about using the project guide and how we can set that up to quickly start a new project. And the last thing we'll talk about is our project plan window. So let's take a look at our views first. Once again, you can select the view menu option and it will show you the different types of views, or if you want, you can right click on the right side where it has your Gantt chart or your view name. And of course, if you right click there, it'll bring up your optional submenus as well, which will be the same from your view menu bar. As you can see, I have the Gantt chart selected here. However, you can change this quickly by just going through and selecting different views. What I like to do is turn my view bar on just so I get a visual representation of what kind of view it's going to display. Of course, your view bar will show up in place of the active view name. Now you'll have little icons with the representation of what type of view, and simply by clicking on that will change your project plan view. So as you can see, we can view the calendar. Gantt chart is selected. You can view the network diagram and identify critical path. You can check your task usage. From there, you also will go into your resource graph, as well as your resource sheet, resource usage, and of course you can select more views. By selecting the more view, you'll bring up an additional window that provides you additional options for views. Now, no one view is better than the other, but you can actually go through here and customize the way you want views. You can either edit a current view, you can add a new view, copy, or bring up your organizer, which we'll talk about later on, which it brings up information how you can modify certain views and aspects of Microsoft Project. When we talk about the project guide earlier, remember we need to enable it by going into the view menu and turning on project guide. After we do that, then we can actually go through and open up our project guide, which would be displayed in the next to your view bar window, and it's going to be broken down into 4 main areas. You can use the project guide to set up tasks, which is being displayed here. You can do it for setting up resources, tracking information, and reporting information. Lastly, we're going to take a look at our project layout. Now once again, you may not have the same view, and once again you may have to modify some things, but this is the standard format when Microsoft Project 2007 opens. You'll have your standard and formatting toolbars, as well as maybe the view bar being displayed. If not, like I said, I prefer mine turned on so I can quickly look at it and get a visual representation of what the information is going to be displayed. Your project plan window consists of two parts, an entry or fields with several rows and columns. And this is where your task or your work breakdown structure will be created. And of course, on the right-hand side will be your Gantt chart, or your task usage or resource usage or resource sheet. The key thing to remember about your project plan window is that you've got a split bar that runs down the middle of it and allows you to actually change and slide it to the left or to the right to view more information from the fields and columns, or to see more of the Gantt chart. Of course, each field has an entry table. Some of them you can simply click on and type in, which will be displayed in the top, or it will be more so using the arrows to set dates, duration, or hours. Just remember the split bar is very useful, and that you're going to have to manipulate that and move that several times in order to get to view the information and to see the information of your project. And that concludes Microsoft Project 2007 overview. During this model, we talked about how to get started with Microsoft Project. First, you need to make sure you understand what version you have and any compatibility issues you may encounter with previous versions or with older versions that you're importing. We talked about all of the menu bar options, as well as the toolbars that you can set up and utilize when using Microsoft Project 2007. We then next talked about our project layout. More specifically, how to set up your view bar so you can quickly access and change the different views within Microsoft Project 2007. And we also talked about your project guide, which will actually be the last 3 lessons where we're going to go and actually have interactive, hands-on setup using the project guide. The last thing we talked about was, of course, our project plan window and how everything is set up with our table entry, as well as our tables and our Gantt chart or our split bar to change the different informations when viewing Microsoft Project information. In our next lesson, we're going to talk about project planning, more so the project plan and the planning inputs used. If you have any questions or comments related to the information covered in this presentation, make sure you use the question and comment section located on the gogo.com webpage. Thank you for viewing this presentation on Microsoft Project 2007 overview. Take care, everyone, and goodbye.